Hey, what do you say, Seattle hockey fans? Erica Lindsay Ayala, your host of Locked on Kraken. I hope you enjoyed, if you're in the States, the holiday. We are going to update you, and then there are only 4 teams left in the Stanley Cup Playoffs. We're going to go over odds. We're going to go over the last game, and we're going to get you ready, of course, for what is to come as we lock down the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. We also have to talk about the Seattle Thunderbirds and the Charlotte Checkers. One series is going the distance. Another ended in a sweep. We'll talk about it all coming up on this episode of Locked on Kraken.
You are Locked on Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We are the Seattle Kraken.
Hey there, Seattle hockey fans. Erica Lindsay Ayala here. We're doing another episode of Locked on Kraken. And, we talked about it last week. Bye-bye to your boy, Calle Järnkrok. No longer in the playoffs as Calgary dropped. We had another team eliminated. We had 2, I guess, since last we spoke, right? 2 teams. Well, Colorado was eliminated. And then we had a Game 7 between the Carolina Hurricanes and the New York Rangers. The Rangers sent it back to Carolina. Let's go to Jared Ellis first over at Locked on Hurricanes to hear his thoughts on how the series ended.
That's it. Carolina Hurricanes season is over. They lost tonight 6-2 in Game 7 against the New York Rangers. And season's done. Time to say bye to playoff beards. And an overwhelming sense of disappointment from at least me personally. Obviously, I'm proud of the team. A second round exit is better than another decade of not making the playoffs, but something echoed by the entire leadership group of the team and Rod Brindamore. So Jordan Martinook, Jacob Slavin, Sebastian Aho, and Jordan Stahl. The lack of special teams play and not being able to take advantage of opportunities. That was the downfall of this team in this game, but the entire series as well. And now we transition into the off season. I think it's going to be the off season when we see a lot of turnover, but ultimately that is just something we're going to have to wait and see. Congratulations to John from Locked On New York Rangers on winning the series. Go take down Tampa, and Adam from Locked On Lightning, and I will talk to you Caniacs in the next episode of Locked On Hurricanes, where we break down this Game 7, this series, and head into off-season content.
Well, welcome to off-season content. We've still got a month of us coming to you basically every day. That will change once the NHL is officially, as a league, is officially in the off season. But for us, we've been in the off season for several weeks now. So, it's always brutal to hear from the losing side. But, there's 2 sides to any game. So let's hear from John Chick over at Locked On Rangers.
Hey, what is going on, hockey fans? It's John Chick with Locked On New York Rangers. The Rangers just closing out the series in 7 games, winning on the road where the Carolina Hurricanes were undefeated thus far in the postseason. pretty much dominating from start to finish, claiming a 6-2 win and punching their ticket to the Eastern Conference Final. Now all you got to do is somehow figure out a way to beat the two-time defending Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning. But we'll get into that in due time here. But for right now, if you're a Ranger fan, you just got to enjoy this. You know, we've gone through this rebuild with this team. It was tough for a while. It's tough to say goodbye to so many players that we loved. But, man, it's just paying off in a major way. Again, the Rangers are one of the last 4 teams standing in the NHL. It's absolutely crazy. I thought they'd be a playoff team this season. I never would have thought they'd make it this far, and I'll be honest about that. But as you watch this season continue and you watch everything that's happened in the playoffs, I am going to tell Ranger fans something that you guys already know. And if you're just a general hockey fan, you need to pay attention. The Rangers are a damn good hockey team. I've been hearing all season about, well, you know, it's just they have a great goalie. Igor Shesterkin carries them. They're not any good 5v feet. You know, the metrics in the computers say that, you know, of all the playoff teams, the Rangers are the worst team at 5v5 hockey. I really don't care because, you know, those computers can't measure everything. There's something special that lies within this team. You know, ESPN doing everything that they can this entire series to try to invalidate the Rangers. It's a damn good hockey team, and they absolutely deserve this. And I can't wait to see them get underway against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Going to be tough, but they've already beaten 2 really good teams, and it's a great opportunity to do something really special here. So we're going to be talking about all this on the next episode of Locked On New York Rangers. Do not miss it.
I mean, there you go, fans. There you go. We've got the clash of 2 very different teams in the East. Obviously, the Tampa Bay Lightning looking for a three-peat. There were times where I wasn't sure Tampa Bay was going to get back in the position that they're in. And then you heard John talk about what the New York Rangers have been able to do. So I think it's grit, it's grind. As a New Yorker, as an East Coaster, I like it. You know, a lot of people I saw on social media talking about Florida is New York South. You know, I think it's going to be interesting to see how Florida shows up for these games now that the opponent is the Rangers. So we'll see what happens there. But coming up next on Locked On Kraken, we're going to keep talking about the Stanley Cup Playoffs, give you the schedule and the breakdown. Obviously, we talked about the Eastern Conference Finals with John and Jared, but we've got the Western Conference Finals as well with Edmonton and Colorado. A lot of people overall just liking the 4 teams that are left. Let me know. Question of the episode: what are your thoughts on the last 4 standing? Are these the matchups that you wanted to see? Do you have a favorite team as we embark on the conference finals? Let me know in the show notes, or of course you can hit me up at elindsay08, and of course always at Locked On Kraken. But right now, let's talk about a family-owned business that we love here at the Locked On Network, and that is rockauto.com. You can save time and money when you use rockauto.com. Why would you choose to spend 30%, 50%, even 100% more on your auto parts at a brick and mortar store when you can find everything you need from the comfort of your home or even your mobile device on rockauto.com? They have everything that you need. That includes brake lights, tail lamps, tail lamps, even new carpet if that's what you need. Honda Odyssey fuel pump is $353 from a chain store. You can find it for $216 on rockauto.com. So go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car, your truck, whatever vehicle you're driving. And then make sure you type Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. All right. Thank you as always for making Locked On Kraken your first listen of the day. A reminder that we, just like everything else on the Locked On Podcast Network, are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. All right, folks, we do have more playoff hockey to talk about. We're going to get to that in the next segment. We're going to talk about the Seattle Thunderbirds. We're going to talk about the Charlotte Checkers. I told you One series going to game 7, another one ended in a sweep. If you've been following us on Locked on Kraken, then you should know which is which. But if you don't, no worries. I've got you covered. We're going to talk about that next. But right now, let's continue to talk about the Stanley Cup Playoffs. All right, we're going to take a look at the bracket. So just as a reminder of how we got here, this is the bracket. We'll start with Tampa Bay and how they got to win out on their bracket. You see that they had to beat Toronto first. Then the Florida Panthers beat out the Washington Capitals. That led to an all-Florida series in which Tampa Bay was able to take it home. But I guess they would have taken it home. They were both in Florida. I don't know. Whatever. Tampa Bay gets the win. That's how they get to their side of the bracket. How did New York Rangers get here? We mentioned they had to go through Carolina, but also had to through the Pittsburgh Penguins. They were able to take care of that. The Carolina Hurricanes beat the Boston Bruins in the first round. Carolina and New York make it happen. Game 7 goes to a game 7, and it's the Blue Shirts that advance. They, on the other side of the bracket, they will be taking on Tampa Bay. On the other side of the bracket, we have the Oilers. How did they get through? First had to come through the LA Kings. Los Kings! All right. Then we see that Calgary was able to take care of Dallas. That led to the Battle of Alberta. And it started as a wild and crazy one. We talked about that on Locked on Kraken. But now you see that it's the Oilers taking it all the way. And they will play for Western Conference bragging rights against the Colorado Avalanche, a team that was able to take care of Nashville pretty solidly. Then you see that the St. Louis Blues took care of the Minnesota Wild. And then we had, quite honestly, a series that burnt my grits a little bit more than I like to admit sometimes. We've talked about that on the show. Nomata, Nazem Kadri, and the Colorado Avalanche are advanced. They will be taking on the Edmonton Oilers. Your winner from the left side will take on the winner from the right side. And that's do it. So pretty straightforward. Now let's talk about the schedule. We've got games tonight, or a game tonight. So the Western Conference is going to be your Tuesday, Thursday, I guess. And then your Wednesday, Friday will be Eastern Conference. You can see it right there. And then Saturday, Sunday also split. Saturday will be your Western Conference, Sunday your Eastern Conference, and that takes us through the first 3 games, all happening this week, homie. I'm going to catch up with a Black Girl Hockey Club and try and catch a little bit of the Edmonton, Colorado series, so I might be tweeting. Check it out if you want. But yeah, who you got? We have some odds from our friends over at So we've got some odds from our friends over at Bet Online where the game starts. So here you see it's a plus 205 for the Edmonton Oilers, negative or minus 245 for Colorado. Tampa Bay, minus 175 for game 1. And the Rangers plus 155. These are the series lines. So the odds are in the Avalanche and the Tampa Bay Lightning's favor. As you can see, the overall odds to win the Stanley Cup are right there. Edmonton, least favored, followed by the Rangers, Tampa Bay, and then the Avalanche have the best odds. They have the best odds to win. So there you go. They also have, and we talk about this when we do the ad reads, they have the Conn Smythe Trophy odds. So you can see some of those. We'll talk about that a little bit. But yeah, like I said in the first segment, let me know who you got. Coming up next on Locked on Kraken, like I said, we're going to keep talking that playoff hockey. But before we do that, I guess I should say, before we talk about playoff hockey, I told you we're going to start talking about the number 4. We're going to start talking about the number 4. Why are we going to talk about the number 4? Because the Seattle Kraken have the 4th overall pick. We also have a few 4th overall picks in our in our organization, starting with the one and only Ron Francis. So we've got Ron Francis as a number 4 pick. Also Adam Larson. But I wanted to show you, this is just a list. We're going to get into it, like I said, a little bit more. But I started a list here. We're going to work our way. We're going to work our way through this list of 4 picks. As you can see, we don't have anyone yet for 2022. That's coming. Okay. I don't know what's happening here. So as you can see here, 2022 is blank. But in 2011, Adam Larson. And then if we scroll down almost all the way to the bottom, Ron Francis to the Hartford Whalers. That team doesn't exist anymore. And Adam Larson to the Devils. So I've also started to highlight players that are or were still in the playoffs. Not all of them are in the top 4 teams. But, so we're going to start talking about this. So what I would love you to do is look up your hockey history. And we're going to have a chance to make a case for who is the best number 4 overall pick. Let me know if you have certain ways that you'd like to see it done. I have a few things in mind, ways that I'm going to integrate other hosts, but also ways that I can get the crowd, so to speak, involved. So, we're going to talk about number 4s. Obviously, we're going to continue talking about prospects. So I said that I'd get you ready for that, and we're going to start it really soon. So we'll have more time this week to work through the list, kind of get you ready for the history before we do some fun activations where you, as fans, will have an opportunity to weigh in on who you think is the best overall number 4 pick. I don't want it to necessarily be a complete Locked on Kraken bias, so we might have some guests that will come in and try to sway your vote a time or two. I don't know. We'll see. But like I said, coming up next, we have to talk about the Charlotte Checkers and the Seattle Thunderbirds. One went to a Game 7 or is going to a Game 7, and one ended in a sweep. That's what's coming up on Locked on Kraken. Welcome to another episode of Locked on Kraken. We're always happy to have you here and that you make us your number 1 listen every single weekday. Okay, yesterday was a holiday. I did take some time off. I hope you had some good time. Let's do our wellness tip. Wellness tip of the day. Just hang out with people that make you feel good, and don't be conservative with your appreciation for them. So that's kind of 2 tips, but that happiness gene, like we want to activate our happiness. The pursuit of happiness is a very human thing, and we can find that in people that we love or that we enjoy hanging out with. So make time for those people, and that's exactly what I did yesterday, and I don't regret it. It was exactly what I needed to burst through with the energy that I needed for this week, which is going to be a big one. Anyway, we'll get into that. So I'm making time for the folks that I care about, which of course includes all of our listeners. We still have a majority of people listening on audio. And of course, we have integrated over to YouTube. So I appreciate you all. So I'm sharing and upping, hopefully, not only my own happiness quotient, but yours as well, by just saying that you are appreciated. So take some time out to spend time with people that make you happy, and also to share the love, share the happiness. So speaking of sharing the happiness, why don't we start with the happier news, right? The happier news comes from, Washington, the state. And that comes specifically from the Seattle Thunderbirds, as they were able to force a Game 7. So there you go. It's Seattle at Kamloops. That's what we've got. This ended in a 2-1 win in Game 6 in the WHL Western Conference Champions. And, I think what we're seeing is the Thunderbirds are a tenacious team. They had to come from behind. It was a 2-1 win, but they had to come from behind. We see that Jared Davidson got his first goal since Game 3, to which he said, "It's super nice to get the puck back in the net after a few games without one. It was a couple of frustrating games, but if we're winning, that's all that matters. It was a beautiful pass. It was nice to put that one in." And so there you go. The winner of this one will play the Edmonton Oil Kings in the WHL Championship Series that begins Friday at Rogers Place in Edmonton. So Edmonton just really looking to go big on the hockey scene. So here we go. It's a 2-1 win. This has been a pretty tight series between Kamloops and Seattle Thunderbirds. So this is going to be another opportunity, though, for Seattle fans to head to the Kraken Community Iceplex if you want to watch Game 7. All right. But as I mentioned, it's not all rainbows and butterflies. We have another team that we've got to talk about. And if that one was the Game 7, then that means that the Charlotte Checkers, ouch, they get swept. They get swept by the Springfield Thunderbirds. And Joey Decord put out a tweet, and it just broke your little heart. He had, and a lot of the guys had such a tumultuous season, met success in the regular season. Obviously, Charlotte did, and Joey able to get some time with the Seattle Kraken because of the goaltending situation that we had. I mean, the COVID outbreaks. So, but it's always tough to get swept in particular, not what you necessarily want to see. And it was a 5-1 victory for Springfield. And now let's take a look, though, at the shots in particular, because we have seen that, let me see. No. Yeah, let's take a look at these shots. Shots were pretty even in throughout the game. The shots even favored the Charlotte Checkers by the third period. Let me increase this for you. But the shots were effective for Springfield. We broke down the shot chart the shot chart last time. And, you know, that's just something that the Checkers are going to have to improve. Now, obviously, the Checkers are going to have a vastly different roster. I mean, if you look at this, we've got Decord, Connor Carrick, we've got Alexander True McCormick. I mean, you know, these are Fleury, these are Cholowski, Henman, obviously. These are guys that are going to come over for the Firebirds and play for the Coachella Valley Firebirds. So how does Charlotte kind of rethink and rejigger their roster? But then also, what are we going to do? How are we going to fill the Seattle Thunderbirds roster? So lots of things to figure out. Again, not the way Joey Decord wanted to end his season, or any of the guys, really. But you see that Joey Decord faced 35 shots, but gave up 6 goals. So I've seen Joey play before. I really, I didn't see the full highlight package for this game, but I from what I have been able to see from this series, I think it's a mix of fatigue and just defensive breakdowns. And you can't make too many mistakes in the playoffs because teams are going to adjust. And if you don't adjust, well, then there you go. So that's how the cookie crumbles for the Charlotte Checkers. The Seattle Thunderbirds live to see another day. And of course, we will update you on that series and let you know if it will be the Seattle Thunderbirds that are headed to the WHL Championship Series. All right, folks, that's all we have for this episode of Locked on Kraken. Now that you've made us your first listen of the day, now it's time to check out Locked on NHL. Locked on NHL covers the playoffs like no other. Hear the latest news and opinions from local experts every Monday through Friday. And just like everything else on the Locked on Network, it is free wherever you get podcasts, including, yes, on YouTube. As we like to say here at Locked on Kraken, I'm your host, Erica Lindsay Ayala. Hold fast, stay true, be good to yourself and to each other, and I'll see you tomorrow.